Today we are here with the original Agent Velocity GOAT as well, Wyatt Beamer. Let's get into it. It's going to be a really fucking interesting interview. If someone doesn't know who Wyatt is, Wyatt is one of the guys that we have had in Agent Velocity, our coaching program, for the longest time. Basically, he's one of the OGs, and Wyatt has seen an amazing amount of success. So I just want to get him here on the channel and share some free game with you guys so you can succeed like Wyatt has. So Wyatt, the first question I want to ask you is, can you please elaborate us how you made 10K in a month just from one client alone?
You know, coming in the agency velocity, I'm looking to scale. I wasn't even at like a 10K mark when I joined. And I was like, man, like I'm trying to look for something out of the box, get a niche like that everybody's not picking, kind of, dig for some gold. And me and you were brainstorming for like 30 minutes and we're like, you know what, we're just going to take over tech. Like we're going to just take over the tech industry. And we're like, okay, we're going to do it. Built out the list of like the top companies in the US, top tech companies. And it was very broad because you go from development, managing, consulting, cybersecurity, all that. So we went very broad. But I hopped on this call with these guys named Fueled, and they were like the top dogs in app development. Like I think I actually looked it up. It's like top 10 company in the world, like for app development. It was like this co-founder. He was like 30 and he's talking to me. He's just like, you look like you're in a dorm room and like blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, man, I'm out here hustling, man. I'm trying to. So we had a pretty small startup cost for him because, just kind of in the beginning, I was like, screw it, why not? It's a big client. They're doing like 30 M's, like 30 million a year when I was talking to them. And then brought him on, only like $100 startup fee for like domain costs, basically. And he was like, I'll give you 10K the first 5 calls. And I was like, sick, dope. I was like, excellent. I was like, I'm totally on board. So I put all my focus and energy into him. For the first like 2 months, it was a struggle, man. I was like, because I was contacting like Fortune 500s and big like $100 million plus companies. And we got a couple calls from them, but it wasn't like hitting. Like we got 2 calls in like 2 months. And I was like, man, I gotta think out here. So they mentioned that like they had crazy case studies for startups. They basically give startups like millions of dollars in fundings, like just through an app. So I was like, okay, well, why don't I just use that, contact startups, say like, hey, bro, we've made startups millions of dollars in the past 2 years. And I was like, okay, we're gonna do that. It doesn't matter the industry of the startup. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do that. So I did that. I was like, hey, I know it's a startup that you want to get ahead of the competition, blah, blah, blah. Like we help startups build award-winning apps and whatever. And we just helped 10 startups IPO in the past 2 years. And they're all like, please send me Google invite. Please, please, let's chat. Please, let's chat. Please, let's chat. And it's a little different because they're such a big company that I'm actually going to help them with this in the future, but they don't have like a Calendly or like kind of like a sales process. So I have to like CC one of the employees from Field and then they book the call. So like I'm really not booking calls. I'm just like CCing people and then they book them in. We booked 5 calls in a week. We were already at 2. So we had 7. And then they were like, oh, you're too good at your job. Like, here's my money. Take it all. And I was like 6. So I was like, dope. So yeah, from that alone, we hit a 10K month. And it's been wild. Like we're going to make them a lot of money and they're going to give me a lot of money. But yeah, so it's been killer. It's been crazy.
That's going to be a sick case study, and that's an amazing client to have. How much are they paying you for a call now?
So the first 5 calls were 2,000 technically. So like 10K for the first 5. And then now we're doing 1,000 per call. That's like absurd. Like I never even thought I was going to get to that point, but it was one of my first clients. And honestly, like the calls are cheap in the sense of like their product. Their lowest product is like 500K. So like a call honestly should be around like 2 to 4, I'd say, but it's still 1,000 per call. And if we're booking 5 to 10, like we'll be fine. It's hard because I've talked to other like people doing like 100K months in this biz, and I'm like, what do you think of like development? And they're all like, it's the hardest I've ever. And these guys are like 10 times richer than me, right? And they're like, it's like the hardest one. And I'm like, interesting. Like, of course, there were struggles in the 2 months, but like we just kept testing, sending out campaigns weekly, and we found a gold mine. And they're all like, how did you do it? They're just like, what? And then these guys are making like a 200K a month, and I'm just like, I'm just like, oh, we make people rich, and we're gonna make us, and they're gonna make me rich. I don't know. So yeah, like they had sick case studies like Apple, Google, Crunchbase, where I scraped the leads from, and like Verizon. So these guys are top dogs. So it was very, very easy to get people on calls. It's a little bit harder with like big brand names, but they show a sign of respect, which is also good. And showing a sign of respect, you can finesse calls through that way. Like they're like, oh, oh, we see that you worked with Apple and Google, and so there's like, okay, like let's like talk in the near future. So I'm like, okay, sick. So like we definitely have our pipeline's pretty big for that client. Our pipeline is the biggest. It's like 10 mil. It's like close to 10 mil. It's just so stupid. It's so dumb. It's been crazy because for the longest time, like when did I join Agency Velocity? Was it September?
I think it was beginning of August.
That's
when it launched.
August.
Yeah.
Okay. Like honestly, I wasn't doing lead gen for a long time, like before Agency Velocity, probably for only like a month or two. And like I was a little impatient, I will say. It was only like 2 months, and I was like, you know what, bro? I was like, screw this. I was like, I want some help. So I got in there, and literally none of this would have happened like without like you and Rob and everybody in there. And like it's insane. Like I'm just sitting here like, bro, like there's so much value. I'm just like, it's just so worth the cost. Like I got my money back in like a month. And I was just like, okay. I was just like, okay. Yeah, but it's been
how much were you making before you hopped into AV? I remember that you had those 2 clients.
Bro, I was making like barely 1,000. Like they were commission based. We were getting them calls, but they both sucked at sales. Just the beginning stages. Like I'm taking anybody on. I'm taking anybody on who wants me. But it was commission based, and they were not good at sales. Like one of my clients, but like not hating on him, gave him like 30 calls, and he closed like 1. Putting all this work in, all this effort, all this testing, and all this money that I'm putting back. Like money I was making was going straight back into the agent. And I was just like, you know what, man? Like I need to find a way to scale, have systems. And I was like, I don't know how to do that. And I was like DMing you a bunch of questions. I know I tweeted about like literally it was like 6 months, like 5 or 6 months ago. I was like, how do you send automated cold emails, Levi?
I remember. What is? Can you use a tool to automate the emails? And now here you're like getting paid 10K for 5 calls. And that's like the moment. The moment this is fucked because like you started lead gen. You did it for like a month or 2. Didn't really pick up any traction. Wasn't making real money. It was basically you were losing money on it. Then you hop in. We figure out the new niche. Figure out the new offer. We built like a really basic landing page. We built a really basic DSL on it. And then I remember like the first 2 weeks, you book like fucking 15 calls.
And then I got too excited. And I got my 5 clients I wanted, and I canceled everybody else. I was like, screw y'all. I was like, I got mine. I was like, it was a mistake, but I learned it. It's fine.
Yeah, so, you live, you learn. And now
exactly.
you work with one of the biggest companies in the industry, like one of the top companies in the industry. You have built like an 8-figure pipeline. And now this is something that I actually wanted to talk to you about. But let's do it straight here in the video. But not right now, going into the new year, like just making a case study on how we got X company or how we built X company 8-figure pipeline in Y time frame without common problem in niche. So probably we already have a pretty good feedback on what there is their common like most painful problem, and building like a really fucking sick sales letter about it and a really good sales argument about it, and then just launching client acquisition again to that niche. It's gonna print so hard. You can charge like 10K starting fees. They have money, and you have you're like, yo bro, we have one of the top companies. We built them an 8-figure pipeline. They're gonna make money
in like 2 months. Yeah, and they're gonna make money. And like the thing with this client, like development is obviously expensive, but like if you go to like kind of like a mid-sized development company, they're gonna be like probably 50 to 100K. These guys are 500K for the small. Like they're gonna like it's gonna be easier on my end. Like it's gonna be way easier. And I think in the new year, like 2023 is gonna be bizarre.
What you got planned?
I got content creation plan. I'm gonna start slowly ramping up with that. I have 3K on Twitter. I want to get 10K by summer. It's doable, but we're gonna get there easy. And then I want to hit 50K months by the end of the year with the agency. Like get there. I'm kind of starting slowly some automations, like not like big stuff, but like stuff like if I mark interested on instantly, it gets moved to the CRM automatically. Like just saving me like time and money. Basically, as much as I can, like do as little amount of work without hiring anybody. Right? It was funny because like you're just like, Wyatt, bro, you just gotta stay in the trenches. Like it sucks, but like you just gotta like go hard. And I did that for like 2 months, and it was so bad. It sucked. I'm not gonna lie, it sucked, but it was worth it. It was worth it 100%.
But now you have the process.
Yep, I have processes. I know everything ins and outs of the business. Like I know it like the back of my hand, and now I get to like automate everything and basically work a little bit less. So we're gonna be getting to hiring next year. I'm hoping by early summer, like late spring, somewhere around there. I'm going to start hiring people and take on as many clients as we can.
It's gonna be sick. That's fun. That's a fun part of the business. We are in the process. We are doing a huge amount of hires right now. So that's like a really fucking fun part of this business. Of course, it can again bring a lot of new obstacles that you didn't like expect.
Yeah.
So there's gonna be a lot of those. But then when you get the team in place, it's gonna be so satisfying. It's so fucking
it's gonna be
nice.
so good.
And I'm so hyped. I'm building like crazy hiring funnels right now on process, and like it's just gonna be so fun. It's actually funny because I just recorded a bit of time ago also an interview with Daniel, and you mentioned that development is one of the hardest, and that's weird because you like managed to make it work. But Daniel also mentioned that he has one web design client. Like he has one client who has basically they are one company, and then they have a lot of small companies under them. And one of them is growth marketing, and one of them is web design. And he signed both of those companies. And he came to me and he was like, "Yo, bro, I signed both of these." I'm like, "Okay, the growth is gonna be easy. I'll just show you how to do it, and the web design, it's probably going to be pretty mid. Let's not expect too much out of it." We create the growth campaigns, don't really pick any traction with them. And then we went pretty hard on the web design campaigns. We did a bunch of different angles on it. We sat down on a call and wrote the scripts. Daniel mentioned like last week, they booked 15 calls for the web design and then like 2 or 1 for the growth one. So it's like
insane.
It's fucked. Like 15 calls. Like
that's nuts.
What it's 4.5K in a week just by replying emails on like web design.
It's like insane. Like development's about testing. Like if you find the market that wants it, like they're gonna want it. Like simply put. But yeah, it sucked. It sucked for the first 2 months. And I'm like, I don't want to lose this client. Like I want to do work. And then like I basically overwhelmed their team with the amount of leads we had. Like they couldn't keep up. Like we hopped on a call with the co-founder I talked to in the sales call, and then one of the employees that I work with. And then he's like, "You know what, Wyatt? Like you're just like too good at your job. Like we need to find a system that makes this we need to find a system that works for all of us, so like we like don't lose leads." And I was like, I agree. I was like, I won't slow down. I was like, I'm not gonna slow down.
I think the best bet there, like of course, like I don't know about their schedules, but around Calendly, integrate it with Pipedrive, and then just give them like a really simple Pipedrive access, so they'll see all the positive leads, and they'll also see the booked calls, and then they'll also go automatically to their calendar. When I've had like super busy clients who don't really like have time to check anything or whatever, they just check Pipedrive. They see, okay, this is what's happening, it takes them 5 minutes. They can check it on their phone, and then they don't need to care about anything. Then their rep just goes to the calls and they see the progress at all times. So I think the Calendly and Pipedrive or Calendly and Close integration is probably going to be the easiest one.
Yeah, because I walk into this company and I noticed that like they don't really have like they had like zero marketing presence. Like they had like literally not like maybe like a little bit of SEO and like inbound. Like that literally was it. It was crazy because these guys have crazy case studies. So it's like networking, referrals, like, oh, like this company's the best at what they do. Like then like, hire them. And I come in like they have zero marketing, zero systems. And I'm sitting here like I'm getting all these leads and these guys are like, what do we do? Like it's just like, okay. So I'm gonna like coming like next year, like I'm gonna help them a lot. Even though I'm just like a lead gen client, like I do want to like make them money. like we want to be able to close people and not just like hop on call. Like I don't want them to lose money. So next year we're gonna be helping them kind of like where their sales processes and like their onboarding stuff and like stuff like that. So it's gonna be killer. Like I'm gonna learn app development like no other. Like I'm basically a software engineer at this point. Like
that's I remember 3 months ago us sitting in a call and being like, okay, what the fuck do these companies even do? Like doing market research. Like we were just Googling with Wyatt in a fucking Google Meet call and like, okay, what is software development? And then like just reading points, like of course we knew a bit like what it actually means, but like just trying to get like the hang of the industry, hang of the language. It worked out amazingly well. If someone was starting a brand new lead generation agency from completely $0 a month, they would have a budget of, let's say, 500, and their goal would be getting their first few clients, getting some initial traction, getting like 5-10K a month. Let's say getting their 10K a month as quickly as possible. Now knowing what you know and actually having gone through the process and actually like of course being like really skilled at the foundational things, what steps would you tell them to take to get from 0 to 10K a month as quickly as possible possible with the budget of $500 that they have?
Okay, immediately I would go through kind of what we went through, like kind of like a niche offer landing page. There's a lot of value on Twitter, free value. There's a lot of free value on YouTube. So if you need to like buy a course or whatever, retweet and comment on people's and get stuff.
Yeah.
So figure out niche offer landing page so people know who you are, they know what you offer. Figure that out ASAP. Like I'd take like literally a few days to figure that out, like go hard. And immediately buy domains, buy 10, and then add one user. So you have 20 domains. So you're ripping 1,000, right? A day. You would scrape your niche, get like 2,000 to 3,000, right? Different email scripts, test them, scale the best one, hop on calls. And pricing, if you want to get there fast, since you have no case studies and we've done it for yourself, right? You've done it for yourself, so you know you can do it. I'll definitely have some type of onboarding fee. Starting out, like if you're a beginner, I'd say like go to like 1,000 to 2,000, somewhere around there, just for like software domains and all that. Do performance based, so pay per call. And then if you're good, turn those into case studies and then repeat the process and charge double. So like, oh, we got this company $50,000 more in their LTV in this amount of time. Now you can charge $5K for that. And you do that over and over. You hire people to do it, and then you're golden.
That's it. Pretty simple process. Okay, then let's say on the mindset side, what would you tell that person also to expect mentally, and what kind of mindset should they have when they start going through that process? What should they understand before they get into it?
Right. I probably started my journey on Twitter I'd say like, I think March of this year. So just kind of like, and for like 6 months, like all the way probably up to like, I'd say like June, July, like I was just consuming a lot. Like I was never really taking steps forward, and like I was just kind of like buying cheap courses and reading like guides and like following all these big names and people who know what they're doing. And like I remember sending you a screenshot of one of my Instant campaigns to you for my web design, and it was like a 10% reply rate, and I thought it was like that's pretty good, like that's decent, like that's pretty good. But I was just like, oh, like okay, and then you're just like scale it. And I was like, okay. But anyways, like not really doing much, and I didn't scale it, right? So I didn't scale it.
That's actually so funny. You're like trying to get the business off. Like I see a lot of people do this. You're trying to scale the business, and then you hit someone up for advice, and then they give you advice, and you just don't do it. You're like,
I admit that. Like I didn't scale it. I did not.
I've done it as well.
But yeah, I think the mindset I would have is like to stop consuming and start creating. Because the more creating, meaning whatever that means, content, sending emails, practicing sales, practicing delivery, whatever that means. Just more taking those steps forward that you need to make in order for you where you want to get, right? Because for a while I was consuming, like I could have been at this point probably in the summer this year, like 100%. But I didn't. I was just like scrolling and like reading and like jotting notes down like for hours. And I, because there's a lot of people that come to me like that. They're like Wyatt, like I have a question, and they tell me like one of these guys was going like super, super hard. He was like working like 12-hour days. He'd wake up at 4. He would like study copywriting and like like I don't know, you study copywriting and like read books. He'd work, he'd come home, and then he'd like practice sales. And he was doing that for months. I'm like, bro, like have you bought domains? And he's like, no. Why? I'm like, why not? I'm like, what are you I'm like, it's great that you're studying and you're getting to know, but like you learn by doing. Like, bro, I remember I came to you for the free consultation calls, and you're kind of like doing some market research, and I was so confused about the domains. And like what you said, honestly, Levi, it really didn't help. It really didn't help. Like I was just kind of okay, but I learned by just like I took the information as it was, and then I was like, okay, now I'm just gonna do it. Like I just gotta learn it. Like so I just did it, and now we're here. So it's been a wild journey.
It has been crazy. I remember us sitting down and setting up like your domains together and just making sure that you have 2 users on every domain. It's so crazy, the growth, like how fast it happens when you actually start doing shit. I think the most like the biggest problem that people really have, because right now information is totally abundant. You can get any piece of information that you ever need from the internet 100%. For free. You can go to like you can legit, like if you want to build a lead gen agency, you can go to leadgenkit.io and get like a free course there. Like just go there.
Just that's it.
The information is unlimited. So what people do is they take that information and they put it down on a notepad, or they bookmark it, or they screenshot it, or they even might go like super hardcore and take like handwritten notes on it, so they'll remember it better. So they take this information and they turn it into theoretical knowledge, and then they just build a huge amount of theoretical knowledge, because business is super fucking easy in theory. It's just numbers. You send this amount of emails, you close this amount, you make 100K. Like you can watch one Hormozy video and you'll know basically how to build $100 million company. He makes it so fucking easy to understand, and you're able to repeat those words in the exact same manner and probably with the like almost the same conviction and like basically talk like Hormozy, and then you basically know how to build $100 million business. But the big problem there is that because you just take the information, you turn it into knowledge, it never actually amounts to anything. Let's say Hormozy, like an amazing fucking crazy successful entrepreneur, and then there's a guy who has never done anything with business, and they say the exact same words. There's a huge difference in how you actually take those words in, because Hormozy is actually speaking from real life experience, so he knows all the small details, he knows the nuances, he also knows why those things works and why you need to do it that way. And the other guy who's can repeat those words, he just basically has heard those words and he has the knowledge, but he doesn't actually know why it works and how it works. So people just build a huge amount of knowledge in their head or in their notebook, or
and they don't do it, and they don't do anything.
Nothing happens. But the guy who like reads one thread and like goes and fucking executes on it, like buys those domains.
That's the one. That's the one who's gonna win.
Yeah, that guy has 1,000 times more valuable real life experience than the guy who has like a lot of knowledge in their head.
Has
like I remember
tweets, book more, you know.
Yeah, like I remember one guy. His name is Logan Kennedy. Sorry, Logan, if I said your name wrong. I'm gonna check it out. But his name is Logan, a fucking amazing killer. And he basically wrote a thread on like how I would start a lead generation agency. And like bro went, read it, executed on it, and just like kept updating me. And he came back to my DMs. He was like, "Yo, bro, how I do this?" I would like quickly explain to him, and then he's like, "Okay, great." Then he'd like go away for a few weeks, and he'd come back. "Yo, bro, I just closed a 6K deal." And then he would just keep doing it, and just basically based on that one thread. I don't know. He probably studied more stuff, but basically on that one thread that he started on, that was like 3-4 months ago. I know for a fact right now he's MRR on his agency, and they're making multi-5 figures a month, basically because he's read one thread and fucking took action on it.
That's it. That's literally it. And because that's why, like, starting out, it does, like, it's tempting to do that. It's very tempting to just like, and like knowledge is coming. Because honestly, that's like the way we're kind of like trained, like the way like we're supposed to operate. Honestly, like, you know, school and like just like taking information and then you do it, right? Take information, then do it. But I think like if you just do, like, you will, like, in 3 months you will be able to quit your job 100%. One niche, one offer, learn how to do it, stick to it. Like, you could quit your job so easily.
Yeah, because like at the end of the day, if you're working like a normal entry level job from like straight from high school or from college, I don't know what kind of jobs you get after that, but like just a basic job, you're probably making around 3.5K. Let's say you're a bit on a better job, you might be making 4 or 5K, and then depending of course where you live, but after taxes you're not left with that much. You might have like 2.5K to spend, and that's like 10 calls that you need to book for a client. Or in your case, 2.5 calls to book for a client a month with cold email, unlimited amount of cold email. Like, could you do it? 100%. And you could probably do way more, because then you would have the time also to put on it as well. It's just fucked. Like, I know, for example, in Finland, like, you get taxed so hard. If you just run an agency, it is so easy to make more money than you would do through a 9-to-5 career. And of course, again, it's not for everyone. Running a business is really different than working a 9-to-5 job. It has a lot of negative sides that you don't get in a 9-to-5 job. You have a huge amount of stress, uncertainty, a lot of problems. You need to take a lot of 100%. Risks.
You know that for me, like, I was, you know, like it was the second month with that client, and I was like, Levi, bro, I was like, I'm stressing, like I can't book any calls, like I'm not doing good, and like you're just like, bro, just keep going, just keep testing, keep going, like don't stop, don't slow down. And there was times where I was so tempted to just like stop and just like slow down and just like, it's not gonna work, it's not working. But like with you and Rob and everybody in there, like, it's motivating to see people win and knowing that you guys want to help, and you just kept pushing and you're there and you're just like, just keep going, and like it'll happen. And like that's the thing with cold email, like you could go months without any results, and then all of a sudden it'll just hit you like a truck. You'll just like it'll just like, you'll just start printing.
What most people don't really realize when they are like doing cold emails, they think that cold email is something that you can take any company and you can just buy some domains, scrape a list, write a few like really simple emails, start running it, and then based on that work and that energy that you put in the system, basically the universe is just going to give you 10 sales calls a month on average. Like, you need to realize that when you're running cold emails for someone or for yourself, that's like a completely new acquisition channel for a lot of companies, especially for like more like traditional niches. They are relying on inbound, they're relying on referrals, networking. Like that's how they get their leads. Maybe some hardcore gangsters do some Google ads and cold calling once in a while, but launching actually like a really systematic high volume cold email campaign, that's like building completely new client acquisition channel, like completely new marketing like strategy. Like you're transforming the business and building something like from the scratch that has the potential of like changing the whole director of the business, get really predictable leads for really cheaply, really high quality. It's like, of course it's gonna be fucking hard. Like of course you need to figure out a few things before it's gonna start working. Like that is the thing with outbound. 100%. When you get it to work, it's the most reliable channel. It's the most cheapest channel. Like Facebook algorithm can't fuck it up. It is easily the most reliable and also in most cases the most profitable client acquisition channel a market method there is. But of course, 100%. It's also the fucking hardest to build. And what basically people who are running lead generation agencies are like, and also what we focus a lot to in Agent Velocity is you just becoming the person who is able to do it in the most efficient way to figure out how to get this outbound thing working. And then when you see some traction, you start scaling it. And then when you figure it out once, you can run it for so long and you can make so much money with it. Yeah. Your client is going to make a lot of money and you as an agency, you're going to make a lot of money. But of course, it's going to be fucking hard for the first 1 or 2 months. 100%. But of course, it's not going to be that in most cases. We have had clients that come through the door, we like book them 50 calls the first month. Daniel's new client, basically one type of an agency in a sub niche design. He onboarded them. He wrote the scripts. He didn't even run them by us or me and Rob because he was just so confident on it. He wrote really simple scripts, launched them, and they booked like 10 calls the first week or 10 calls in like the first 10 days or something crazy. Insane. So fucking simple. No testing, like probably like 3 variations, simple emails, basic targeting. Yeah, exactly. And of course, you're going to get those winners there. Like, and the better you get, the faster it's going to be. In the beginning, you shouldn't be like too worried if the first client campaign that you launch doesn't close in the first month. That's like part of the game. It's fucking hard.
Yeah, like I had 5 clients and we were like, only one of them was like doing decent. Like we weren't doing like really, really good for him, but decent. But the other guys, we didn't book a call for like 2 months like that. Like, and I was stressing, and like, but like, you just got to keep going. Like you just keep testing and keep going. Because a lot of people ask me like, oh, like, how do I do this? Oh, can you check my scripts? Like you check my lead list. And I'm like, yeah, do this, do that. That looks good. That doesn't look good. And then sometimes they come back to me and like, oh, that was really good. I booked a bunch of calls, or like, oh, that like didn't really do much. Like I'm still struggling. And I'm like, well, my man, like you just keep going. Like I think that was one thing in the beginning for me when I was asking so many people so many irrelevant questions. I was like, what do you think about the script? Now with that answer, I'm like, bro, just test it. Like
yeah. At the end of the day, the script, of course, there's proven structures. There's like probably like 80% of the emails that go out from like our own shit, Rob's campaigns, and then of course Agent Velocity, probably 70-80% use the same structure. Like the one that we use always because we just know it works. The wording is almost exactly the same every single time. But those things don't, at the end of the day, those don't really matter. The thing that really matters is who you're targeting. Are they actually in pain? What are you offering them? Do they even fucking want it? Even if they want it, is the offer even good enough so they would reply to it? And then there's like a lot of different variables. Timing, what kind of digital footprint you have, how well they can find information about you, do you have credibility, and all of these like small things, small nuances between. And the big picture is always strategy. Like, okay, we know that, okay, if we see a case study that the client that you were talking about has, okay, are we able to use that angle and reach out to the same type of clients, to these startups, and tell how we got 10 startups to IPO in the past, whatever the fucking time frame was. If you just try that out, it doesn't matter what PS line we use, or it doesn't really matter, like, do we say hey or hi or hello? It's completely irrelevant. We're just testing, does this angle resonate with these people? And then if it does, then we can make it a bit better. We can test different call to actions, different follow-ups, and like make it better and better and better. But if you launch it, you run like 3,000 emails or like 9,000 emails to 3,000 people, follow up with them 3 times, and you don't book like at least 10 calls, okay, then the angle probably is just shit.
It's funny because with that client, for the startups, like he had good case studies, but like they were like too big of names. Like I was like, oh, like we do this, we build for startups, we build apps, whatever. Like we just helped Crunchbase and Apple do this. And they're just like, oh, this guy probably costs $1 million to work with, which he basically does. So they're like, oh, like we don't have the budget for that right now. Like that, I know that's what they were thinking because I was like analyzing. I was like, why isn't this working? Oh, like that's a big name. Like, you know, these guys found the company 3 years ago and they're like, oh, these guys worked with Apple, and they're like probably a little intimidated by that. So we're like, oh, we changed it up a little bit to relate to them. Hey, we help startups like get millions of dollars in funding, and we can do the same exact thing for you. And they're like, oh, sweet. Like, send the Google invite, send your calendar link. I think the biggest thing is relating your offer to the market. I think that's like exactly what you said. If they don't want to buy it, if they don't need it, like you're going to get nothing.
It has to match in so many different aspects. It has to match their market awareness level. It has to match their pain. And it also, not only the problem that they have, but basically the offer needs to solve the pain in a way that the market wants it to be solved. Because you might have a perfect solution for a company in their like cheapest pain, but if your offer solves it in a way that they don't want it to be sold, then it's going to be completely irrelevant. And then it also needs to be language patterns and language and terms that the market uses, and all of those. It basically has to be really relatable. It needs to be comfortable. I remember what I did with my first lead gen client was I went to their sales calls, I took calls, I went to their onboarding calls. I actually went, like, they had like client meetings where they like discussed the project. I went to those. Like, I was just spending time with them and hearing every single word and term that they use. And that way, when I went and created the campaign, it was super fucking easy for me. I used the same words that they used. I targeted similar companies and I used their case study as basically the offer. Like, let's say they ran ads for them. They spent 10K in ads and made 30K in profit from those ads. Yo, we just helped this company that is exactly like yours spend 10K on ads and make 30K in profit back on them in 95 days. And then, like, whatever the wording might be, do you want to see how we did it? It doesn't need a crazy script and personalized line and fucking, like, it just works at that point because everything is so aligned in the foundational things that you can just roll with fucking shitty ass cold email scripts. It's gonna work.
Yeah, like your language and like your lead lists are like, I think, one of the most like important things. And it's funny because I thought the opposite in the beginning. I'm like, your script, it's like the most important. Like it has to be like good, but like it doesn't matter if your lists suck. They're just like, what are you talking about? Like, what do you do? I don't even know what you're offering. Like, well, that means my script sucks, or I'm not targeting the right people. Like you said, all of this is hard. It's difficult, but it's like simple.
The last thing that I want to ask you is, if there's someone watching this video right now and they're looking to build a lead generation agency and they want to get to 10K a month in the next few months, and you can give them one piece of advice, what would you tell them?
Send cold emails. Like I mentioned earlier, like I never did anything. I was consuming. I wasn't creating. I wasn't doing. And if you just do it, like a lot of people are like, oh, how do I do this? How do I do this? Bro, just do it. Like, figure it out. Like, not in a rude way, but I'm just like, it's part of the learning curve. You're going to have a learning curve. And if you just do it and you hop on sales calls and you offer them and you see that maybe they want it or they don't want it, okay, take that and learn from it and just keep going. Never stop. Because remember when I like canceled my calls and like I kind of died down on my own outreach? I was like doing that for like a month and I was like, wait a minute, that's probably like not like smart. Like I just need to keep going. I need to keep going, keep doing. Started again, made my own list, did all that, did my own scripts, testing. And I booked 3 calls yesterday. Like,
yeah,
and I decided to do that like a week ago. But point is, like, figure it out, learn it, buy domains, send your ideal client your offer, hop on sales calls and close. That's it. And also, I think one thing is you're going to have like thoughts of giving up, thoughts of slowing down, or thoughts of I'm not good enough, or this could never work, or whatever. But like, just don't quit. Like, don't. Like, I don't care if it takes years. I don't care if it takes a week. Like, don't quit. You know, I think that's one thing because I'm happy I didn't. There's been many, many instances where I was like, man, like this is never going to work out. My family's telling me this is like not going to work out. Like my friends, and like, I'm just like, maybe they're right, but like, I'm just like, no, they're not right. What does the horn say? You can't fail if you don't quit. Something like that. Like you can't fail if you don't quit. Like, I don't care how long it takes. And like, even if I was in the same spot where I was 6 months ago, a beginner, not really getting any traction with my clients or whatever, like you still got to pound. I still have to apply force. Turbo Ramp Thursdays. That's what we're about in agency velocity.
It's the Money Mondays and Turbo Ramp Thursdays. That's what we do.
Come on now.
but yeah, it's so true. I have been doing this for 6 years, and still, even though I have been in the game for 6 years, exactly 13 months ago, I had nothing. I had like probably $1 $1 on my bank account.
Yeah.
I had no business. I had legit nothing. I had been in the game 5 years at that point. We had some success, but like I managed to fuck it up every single time. Spent all my money and took some debt to pay my sales guys commissions. And then I was again starting from zero. And that's when I was actually looking for a 9 to 5 job then. And I remember this, it hurt really a lot. And I was basically quitting. I tried to quit. I'm not proud of it. And I applied for a education company and I applied for a customer success management role.
Wow.
And I had been in sales since I was 14. And I had led 2 over 15 people sales teams. Plus I had run a sales outsourcing company where we were selling so much. We had like over 10 people there. We had one really big B2B company as our client. We were their best sales partner. Like I was pretty confident in sales. And I applied for a customer success manager role, which isn't even a sales position. It's basically when someone closes and then you take control and then you do some little upsells. It's like 2.5K a month plus the upsells that you make. It's nothing. And I didn't get the job and it like broke me. But then I considered it was destiny because then that way I started doing lead gen for one really cool marketing agency as basically like a freelancer. I was like a head of lead generation or whatever the fuck my title was. We got really good results for them. And I was like, oh shit, this is a business. And this is like 13, 14 months ago. And then I was like, oh shit, this is a business. And then I started my lead gen agency, got the first few clients. And then like 6 months after that, like making 40K a month. So sometimes you just have to fucking fail for 5 years.
I was applying to jobs too. And it wasn't even like 5 years. I really wasn't even at like a breaking point. Like, bro, it's just kind of like, man, like money's tight. Like I was kind of in like a rut. And I applied for a job. Nothing like crazy, you know, probably like 2K a month. I could like apply through the phone quick. It was like a warehouse job. And I got accepted, la 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 la. I didn't have to do like an interview or anything, like nothing like that. Like literally just applied. And I got it, right? And I was like, okay, I'm gonna start working there, do this stuff on the side. And they like never gave me hours. So how it worked was like you just select your hours on the app, like you're gonna work this day, this day. They never gave me hours. Like they were supposed to, but they never posted any like hours for me. So I never went into that job one time. Like you said, like it was destiny. Like I was like, okay, I have no money. I can't even work at a place because they're not giving me hours. So I gotta find a way to make money. And that's what I did.
And that's also like why I'm so happy with Agent Velocity. When I see guys who come in basically having nothing, but a lot of just drive. And then we can help them to hit like 10K a month. Like we can like just fucking make sure that they don't have to struggle 5 years because it fucking sucks. So like that's like, it gives me so much satisfaction to see that someone doesn't have to go through the painful 5 years. And of course, the main reason like why I spent 5 years struggling was I changed the niche and offer and business model like a million times. I was studying, but I wasn't doing. I was procrastinating. I was too comfortable. Like I went to army also, so I was trying to run the business in the army for 12 months. It didn't work out. So I was also doing a bunch of dumb shit. So right now, I think there's just way better information out there. On like if you're, for example, on Twitter, it's way easier to succeed and you don't have to spend 5 years. But the main thing, how you can fast forward your success and not have to struggle 5 years. It's just fucking stick to one thing and join Agent Velocity. That's also the second thing to do. Join agentvelocity.io if you're interested in building a lead generation agency. $10,000 a month, 92 days. You can find Wyatt's Twitter from the description. I hope you have an amazing rest of the day. Bye.